Hello everyone, welcome back to lectures on physical anthropology. Today we are going to take up 1.4, the organic evolution and emergence of man. Okay, so before getting into the topic, we'll see what we have learnt in the previous class with respect to 1.7 and what things you have to remember from it. Okay, so what you need to remember is the basic things, that what is DNA. So we know that inside the nucleus we have the genetic information that is known as DNA. DNA consists of two strands, that is double strand, double helix structure made up of two strands which are linked by each other with the help of nucleotides ATGC. Okay, and G and C combined with triple hydrogen bond. So these things you need to remember. Okay, at the same time some portion of DNA codes for particular information that is known as gene. Codes for particular information, some part of gene, that is known as gene. And the variation in genes in a population, so be it between mother and father, so everybody is having two different varieties for same gene. Okay, so suppose from mother gene belonging to eye color, and in father you have gene belonging to eye color. So the variation between the genes, okay, variation in terms of information within the genes is known as alleles. Okay, so the variations which are related to same particular trait, okay, are known as alleles. So this you need to recall. At the same time we have talked about recombination in cell division. Recombination. So we know cell division happens in different phases. First is interphase, where the cells get ready. Okay, where the cells get ready, you have 46 in mitosis. 46 chromosomes are there, and these 46 chromosomes have single chromatid, and now what they'll do, they'll multiply. They will multiply themselves, they'll replicate. Okay, so you'll have 46 chromosomes and 92 chromatids. Okay, so 46 chromosomes and 92 chromatids. Okay, so what happens with respect to meiosis? There is no such replication. Sorry, there is replication. Like what happens, it also replicates. You will get 46 chromosomes. Okay, so now there is prophase. In the prophase, these chromosomes will thicken themselves so that it's visible. Okay, so condensing happens, condensing of nuclear material happens over here, and here, okay, along with condensing, okay, there is homologous pairing. Okay, mother's chromosome and father's chromosome will align themselves. Okay, the chromosomes which are having same shape, size, structure and carrying the same information are known as homologous chromosomes. Okay, so if it is the locus of gene is for some factor, okay, if it is for some factor, suppose it's related to heart, how heart should function, the same position from the mother also tells about how heart should function, but the information may vary. Okay, so information may be different. Okay, now the homologous pairing will happen. Now after that, in the second phase, in metaphase, all these will come to the middle. All these will come to the middle of the cell. They'll arrange like this. And here, before coming to the middle, what happens is there is a process known as recombination. I have told you. Now these two will combine together. they will exchange the information randomly. Okay, so one gene will go from mother to father, from father to mother, but location of the genes don't change. Okay, this may go to here or this may go to here. Okay, so this exchange can happen, but it will go to the same position where the original gene was present. Okay, so in this way exchange of information, genetic information happens. This is known as crossing over, recombination, or chiasmata. Okay, so it is called as chiasmata, recombination, or crossing over. Okay, so I am being little quick because we have to do the today's lecture as well. So this is with respect to condensing and recombination. After that you will have two chromosomes which are different from the original when they come when they are coming towards one another to pair. Okay, so now what happens, again in the same manner they'll come to the middle. Now here one chromatid goes to one way and other chromatid goes to other end. Okay, here one chromosome is pulled. Okay, here one chromatid goes to one end, here one chromosome goes to one end. Okay, now what happens, here you will get a cell comprising of 23 chromosomes, and these are different from the beginning. And now here you will have 46 chromatids. Okay, so this is how after the anaphase and telophase cytokinesis happens and division gets finished. So with this mitosis is completed. But in meiosis this is the phase 1, and in the second phase what happens, second phase is same as mitosis. So here no recombination or nothing. Okay, what happens, these 23 chromosomes will come to the center and they'll pull chromatids to opposite end. Now what happens, this will give rise to 23. See, now you have 46, you have got 46. Okay, 46 cells have come. Here also 23 will give rise to 23 chromosomes. Here you have chromosome, here you have chromatids. Okay, so now 4 gametes are formed, be it sperm cells or be it egg cells. Okay, so these 4 cells are non-identical. Here the information of the chromatid is same. Okay, the same chromatid is coming here again, but here the chromatids have went through, okay, the chromosomes have went through recombination. That's why these are non-identical cells which are reproduced or which are produced as a part of meiosis. Okay, so these things you need to remember from the past lecture that we have done. And next thing is that you need to remember the protein synthesis. From DNA, mRNA will take the information and it will go to ribosomes. Okay, ribosomes. It will go to ribosomes, which is rRNA. It is called as rRNA. It will read the information. It will tell the tRNA to bring the amino acids, and the information which has been read by the rRNA will help in making the proteins, that is chain of amino acids. Okay, so this is with respect to the previous lecture. I think you are clear with them. If you are not, please have a clarity of these things, because everything that we are going to read in the next chapters is very much based upon these basics. Okay, so let's begin 1.4, organic evolution, okay, and human evolution. So first of all we need to understand what do you mean by evolution. So in simple words, if I have to say evolution, evolution is nothing but a change Okay, so in this process of evolution, change can go either ways. Change can be positive or change can be negative. Okay, so that's why we can't define change based on whether we are moving from lesser we are moving from lesser to higher levels of. So generally it is believed that evolution from lesser forms to higher forms as evolution. Okay, but it's only true in some cases. So generally evolution is nothing but change. Okay, so now coming to organic evolution. So evolution can be two types. It can be inorganic and it can be organic. Inorganic means I have told you that without life, and organic is something which has life. Okay, inorganic evolution. So you have atoms, atoms combine to form molecules, molecules combine to form, okay, so larger compounds further, right? This is the evolution of inorganic items. Whereas organic, in terms of organic, there are various definition, various theories that has come up. Okay, so what is organic evolution? We need to look at. Okay, so whatever the knowledge that we have is accumulation and development of the theories that has been put forth by different people. First somebody has given certain theory, then the next team came up, next team has come, and next group of people have seen the first theory, they have found out the flaws. Okay, what are the flaws with the first theory, and now to overcome this, the next group has given certain information. So this way there is rejections, and after that over time there is improvement of the study that has been there, and over time we have developed new technologies. Now we are able to come closer to understand what is organic evolution and how it is happening. Okay, so now we'll be looking at what's given in the syllabus, and after that we'll be taking up one by one. Okay, so first, what is organic evolution, meaning, and what are the different methods of studying organic evolution. Though this is not part of the syllabus, okay, we should know about it. And next, what are the theories, different theories of organic evolution. So there are pre-Darwinian, Darwinian, post-Darwinian. Okay, so now under pre-Darwinian you have group 1 and group 2. Okay, so group 1 generally belongs to the classical theories which is not based on science, and next group 2 based on scientific methods, and next you have neo-Lamarckism, Lamarckism. Okay, so you have Lamarckism, and after that neo-Lamarckism, Darwin theory. Okay, within Darwin you have lot of things, and then you have certain terms and concepts related to evolution. Terms and concepts related to evolution. So coming to what do you mean by organic evolution? What do you mean by organic evolution? See, Darwin, what did he define? He has defined evolution as descent with modification. Okay, descent with modification. I'm sorry. So what do you understand by descent with modification? You know, descent is nothing but tracing your ancestor. Okay, so now while you trace your ancestor, okay, now descent is happening with certain amount of modification. So while transferring the genetic information from one generation to another generation, there is a change that is happening. Okay, so that is modification. Okay, so descent with modification is known as organic evolution according to Darwin. The other definitions include the Weinberg depicts Hardy-Weinberg law, which we are going to study. Weinberg you can note down. So Darwin described organic evolution as descent with modification. Write down one or two definitions. and Weinberg depicts it as change in gene pools of the population. So change in gene pools of population. So what do you understand by gene pool? Just before I have said, within a DNA you have particular strand, okay, which codes for particular information, which we call it as gene, right? Within the body, for a particular trait, we have two variations of gene which we call it as alleles, okay. So now if you take entire population that is there, okay, so now I have one and two varieties, then other peoples have two varieties, you combine all these alleles. When these alleles are combined together, okay, so this complete pool of alleles is known as gene pool, okay. So when within this gene pool changes are happening, okay, so within this gene pool changes are happening, okay, from one generation to the other, which is defined as the evolution, okay. When these changes are happening from one generation to the another generation, there is a change in frequency that is known as organic evolution by Weinberg. And next, Buettner-Janusz, okay, changes in gene frequencies between ancestral and descendant populations through time, okay. Write down. Write down the definition given by Buettner-Janusz. Changes in the gene frequencies between ancestral and descendant populations. So now you have understood what is organic evolution. Organic evolution is nothing but changes that are happening from one generation to another generation within the population that is existing, okay. So the changes that are happening within the entire population from one generation to another generation. But we have come to this definition, okay, the best definition, only after studying all these theories, okay. So now you should not think that the people who are giving theories were not so intelligent, because the theories that they have given were long back, when they don't have knowledge of anything. When they didn't had knowledge of anything, at that point of time they were making these conceptions, okay, of these thoughts, which would be very much valuable to the people of the next generation who has come up with this latest knowledge, okay. So that respect has to be there for those people. And organic evolution, so how did we come to know about the organic evolution, okay. So there are different methods of knowing it. If you see fossils, okay, human fossils, right, in newspapers you might have seen, but we'll be studying that human fossils in a greater detail in 1.6, okay. So you might have seen earlier apes and the human fossils, which they keep coming with new names as human ancestors, that is where humans have come from, okay. So when you see all the fossils, there is certain similarities within them with respect to various parts of the body, and there it shows a certain kind of changes that going in one direction, okay. Some changes are happening in single direction. That means consider with respect to brain size, okay, brain size has increased over time. You see the teeth size has decreased over time, okay. So through the paleontology, which is known as the study of fossils. Paleontology is a discipline which is study of fossils. Okay, and from those study you compare the anatomy of human beings and the others, and through these comparison you will see and understand that there is some evolution that has happened. Next, coming to the molecular method. So molecular method is basically with respect to the changes that are happening in terms of hormones or any biochemical factors. Okay, so using that methods also we can see what kind of factors that are there. Okay, and next, embryological evidences. So embryological evidences, if you are aware, the embryo when it is at the smallest size, it looks like a tadpole. Okay, you can Google and watch it. It looks like a tadpole, and there is similarity between the other animals and the human being at the embryo. Okay, so and the information that is there, okay, within the tadpole, okay, so or within the embryo is helping us to become a full being. Okay, so from the embryo to become a full being that we are today, okay, the information that is present within the embryo helps us becoming the same. Okay, so embryological evidences, okay, there is recapitulation theory. Recapitulation theory says that whatever the way that embryo, so from where the embryo has taken from, okay, so from the how the parents are present, and that information is given into the embryo, and this embryo further produces the same kinds of the parents, same kinds of the children. Okay, this is with respect to embryological evidences. Okay, if you want to write down on embryological evidences, write down comparative embryology. Comparative embryology furnishes several understanding about the evidences for evolution. Ernest Haeckel formulated the biogenetic law. Ernest Haeckel formulated the biogenetic law known as theory of recapitulation. The theory states that ontogeny recapitulates phylogeny. Ontogeny recapitulates phylogeny. Okay, which means embryos in their development repeat the adult stages of their ancestral forms. Okay, so just like how the ancestors or the parents of the embryo were there, the same form is repeated. Okay, this is called as recapitulation theory by Ernest Haeckel. Okay, so from embryos also you can get the information about the evolution. Okay, so from embryonic study, you study the embryos of human being and the embryos of other forms, and through that you will understand. Next, coming to the taxonomy. Okay, taxonomy is nothing but arranging different species based on the names. Okay, so you give different names to different species and you arrange them, and through that you will understand, okay, from where what has come. So plants are separate from animals. Okay, so within the animals, mammals are separate, and within the mammals you have two types: new world monkeys, old world monkeys, or platyherons or catarrants. So that we will be discussing while doing the 1.5, but don't worry. So this arranging them taxonomically with the help of names. Okay, so you are separating them, and through that you will try to understand how the evolution has happened. Okay, so if you want, you can note down regarding these things, but you don't need to know them in greater detail, but just you need to understand that from where the evidences are coming. Okay, so through the geographical distribution you can see where what kind of species are present and how there is difference between them. Okay, so through that also you can understand how evolution is happening. Okay, so because in one environment you have different kinds of forms, and in the other environment you have different kinds of species. Okay, when there is difference between the way they have been formed. Okay, so when there is difference between the species living in different places, you can understand the reasons for its variation. Okay, so now if you see the people living at the corners of the poles, okay, when they are staying close to the poles and those staying close to the equator, you can see there is a higher amount of melanin pigment within the those residing close to the equator, and there is lesser amount of melanin pigment to those people residing to the farther from the equator or closer to the poles. Okay, so those residing closer to the poles have lesser amount of pigment regarding melanin. Okay, so these kind of understandings can help how evolution happens and what are the reasons behind it. Okay, next coming to the cytogenetic evidences. Cytogenetic evidences are studying about the cell, DNA, chromosomes and the molecules within them. Through that comparison, from that also you can get the evidences, and within cytogenetic evidences itself you have one more thing, that is immunologic evidence. Immunologic evidences are the studying about the immune system and what are the immune factors, how immunity is provided. Okay, so these all things you will be able to understand in a better manner once we are done with the all the chapters of the syllabus. But just have a brief idea that there are certain methods to understand evolution, that is like comparison with fossils, geographical distribution, or molecular method. Different kinds of molecules you compare and how the hormones and all these things are different in human beings and other animals. So through similarity and differences you can see. Okay, and next understanding embryos. Okay, compare them, then also you'll try to find a difference, how the things are changing. Okay, so what is evolution? You will try to identify the change, what is the difference and in which direction it is moving. Okay, so these are the different methods, and from these people have tried to understand, using these methods they have tried to understand how the evolution has happened. Okay, so now we have two kinds of evolution, that is biological evolution and cultural evolution. Okay, right, you have two kinds of evolution, one is biological evolution, other is cultural evolution. Okay, biological evolution happens within the organism. Okay, so it is happening within the body of a person. Okay, so within the organism, that is organic evolution, and the external inorganic evolution that is happening is known as cultural evolution. Okay, so the basic differences, if they ask you the differences between biological evolution and cultural evolution. Okay, so if they ask you the difference between biological evolution and cultural evolution, you need to have certain points in order to write an answer. Okay, so first thing is with respect to the difference in the time period from when this evolution has begun. Okay, so biological evolution has begun since the time, okay, the earth has formed. From there the single cellular organisms have formed. From there you see the plants and animals being formed one after the other. From there they are taking different ways, they are separating as species. Okay, so this has begun some billion years ago, and cultural evolution started some thousands of years ago. And biological evolution is organic in nature, that means it is only with the organisms. Okay, so without the organisms there is no biological evolution. But you know, cultural evolution can happen. Okay, evolution can happen even after the organisms responsible for the changes have passed out. Okay, so we have studied in culture superorganic view of culture, right? So culture is bigger than the organisms. Okay, so whatever the information that has come from the past will help in framing the further culture continuation, right? So this is organic in nature and this is superorganic. Next, continuity. Okay, so biological evolution continues. Okay, it keeps on continuing and it precedes the cultural evolution. Continues and precedes the cultural evolution. Okay, biological evolution happens first, then only cultural evolution happens. Okay, so whether they are speed or slow, you need to understand. So what is the speed of the evolution that is happening? Okay, so biological evolution is very gradual and slow in process, whereas cultural evolution is very fast. Okay, and next, stability. Biological evolution offers more stability, right? So whatever the changes that are there, since this changes that are happening are slow and gradual, it offers stability. If the changes happens very quickly, okay, the changes won't be letting us to be more stable. Okay, so stability is more in biological evolution, but reliability is more in cultural evolution. Because if you see, we are cooking food and eating, so we can't digest many things. Okay, we can't digest many things, and we can't chew also most of the things that we are getting as grains. Okay, directly if you are trying to eat, you can't consume them. But because we have developed a culture, okay, so to cook, we have developed fire, and now you have the latest developments also. Okay, so through that you can cook, and now you can chew them. So the culture is providing us the reliability. Okay, so though we have stability, okay, so we have stability from the biological evolution, there is reliability from cultural evolution. And next, where do you have the storage of information? In biological evolution, storage of information is within DNA. Okay, storage of information is within DNA, and here it is through the language and communication. Okay, through language and communication you store the information. Okay, so then the transmission. Okay, the transmission, information transmission, how does it happen? In biological evolution, only during the conception, that means while giving birth, only during that period this information transmission happens. But whereas cultural evolution is continuous, and it happens through the learning process throughout the life. Okay, here it happens only at one event of life, but here it happens throughout the life. So you need to understand these basic things, that biological evolution began very much long ago compared to cultural evolution, and at the same time it offers more stability, and the information is stored in form of DNA, and the transfer happens only at one point of a time in life. Okay, in this it is super organic, and it can happen even without those organisms which have caused the change. Okay, so here if there are certain changes in me, and only in my presence this evolution can happen. Okay, if I die, the evolution of biological evolution ends with respect to me, whatever the changes that are there. But that is not in case of culture. Okay, so if a person or group of people die, even if the books are there, okay, so whatever the literature that was present with respect to Indus Valley civilization, using that now we are able to understand. Okay, so cultural evolution continues, and it is above the organic level, which we call it supraorganic or superorganic. Okay, so this is with respect to the differences between biological evolution and cultural evolution, which you need to be aware about. And there is one more topic, that is biocultural evolution, biocultural factors in evolution. Okay, so let's look at that. So first we need to understand, because of being a biological organism, okay, because of being a biological organism, we inherently have that hunger, okay, that metabolic activity, need for food. Okay, so we have need for food. So in order to have food, you have developed a cultural factor, that is hunting. Okay, so now you go for hunting. Human beings, when they went for hunting, you need to cover wide territory. So when you go for hunting, you don't find the animal at one place, you need to go to large number of places. So every time you go, you'll come across a new condition. You come across a lake one day, you come across a den, caves one day. So you come across new conditions. At the same time, so since you have to hunt, you can't stay at one place. You need to keep finding new places all the times, because in one area, if all the animals are killed, then you have to move to new places, right? You have to move to new places. So when you move to new places, the complicated things come across. Okay, so now what is happening, because of these things, you start getting lot of information. Okay, so previously, when people, before coming to a human stage, or before coming to the evolutionary stage of humans, okay, these were apes. Okay, these people were apes. So apes were living on the arboreal or tree life. Okay, they were living a tree life. So they used to live on trees, and they used to live on whatever they get. They had plenty of food easily available. Okay, but because of the varying in environment, with the change in climate and varying environment, this availability of food has changed. Okay, so especially in the savanna region. Okay, so because of that, what happened, we have to move towards the other way of living, that is hunting and gathering. Okay, so hunting and gathering, especially in that process, we need to come across these things. Okay, so when we have come across these things, we have lot of information. Now we have to store that information in the brain. Because of that, there is pressure on the brain. Okay, so when pressure is acting on the brain, okay, so it has led to the enlargement of frontal parts of the brain. Okay, so which is called as cortex. Okay, the cortex part of the brain has been enlarged. So now you can observe one thing, biological factor. Okay, because of metabolic activity in the human being has led to a cultural factor. Now again, because of cultural factors, again biological change is happening. Okay, so cultural evolution is leading to biological evolution, and biological evolution is leading to cultural evolution. Okay, now again, invention of fire. Okay, so when invention of fire happened, because of that, people used to gather around the fire. Okay, to keep themselves warm. Okay, to keep their body warm, they used to gather. So because of this, what used to happen, grouping, primitive grouping of people used to happen. Okay, so next, cooking. So when, because of availability of fire, cooking has started. Okay, so the cooking has started. When the cooking has started, what happens, the parasites or all other bacteria that is present within the food gets killed while cooking itself. Now the intestinal part, or the intestinal part where the digestive system, or the digestive system where all these things used to be taken care, now has got no use. For that reason, throughout the period of time, what has happened, digestive system has become simple, and now digestive system cannot take all those dangerous particles. In the past it used to take, but now it can't take because it has become simple. So now cultural invention has led to cultural evolution has led to biological evolution. Okay, so now this is with respect to cultural evolution leading to biological evolution. Now you see biological evolution leading to cultural evolution. So bipedalism. Okay, bipedalism is nothing but walking on two legs. Okay, so and this is seen perfectly only in Homo sapiens. Okay, so bipedalism is the way of walking on two legs perfectly, is only seen in Homo sapiens, and these things we'll be studying in a greater detail. But this walking has led to what happened. Okay, previously they used to use both hind limbs and front limbs. Okay, so both they used to use. Okay, so they used to use legs and hands together. Okay, so what happened now, you need only two legs to walk, so your hands have become free. Now hands have become free, at the same time these hands have got more precision. Okay, more precision means to hold. I can hold a pen, but the mammals cannot hold this. Okay, and because of this, hands have become manipulative, and the grip has come, precision grip has come. Okay, so first thing, your hands have become free. Now you can manipulate with the help of hands, and you have precision grip as well. Okay, so this is with respect to bipedalism. So now when you have precision, when you have manipulation with the hand, you have brought tools. Okay, so you have started making tools in order to utilize the environment in a better manner. Okay, so to hunt or to kill the animals, you have developed tools. Now the other change that has happened due to bipedalism is that U-shaped thyroid bone has formed. Okay, so there is U-shaped thyroid bone here. So we'll be seeing all the anatomical parts in the next class. Okay, I'll be showing the 3D view of all the body parts. So there you can clearly get understanding about each and every part, how it looks and what are the changes that have happened. Okay, for now, for this class there is no much need of it. So just for now remember that. So there is U-shaped thyroid bone. Okay, so it is in U shape, and tongue has become freely movement, it has free movement. Okay, so and the lower jaw has become smaller. Okay, so I've told you, because of cooking of food, what has happened, the food has become smooth and you don't need the jaw's power anymore. Okay, so because of that, the lower jaw has become smaller, and there is a reduction of teeth as well. Okay, so in the previous slide here we have seen, here you can also write that because of this soft food and flesh, so lesser requirement of energy by the or power by the lower jaw, and because of that it has led to the reduction in the jaw, and because of that reduction in the jaw, and because of that there is also reduction in the teeth. So when your jaw and teeth has reduced, what has happened, your face has become flat. There is reduction in prognathism. Okay, when your face has become flat, your facial expressions got increased. Okay, so you can express your facial feelings. Okay, so your face feelings is very much visible. Okay, this cultural evolution leading to biological evolution, and you can see here. Okay, and at the same time there is a position of larynx in the middle. Okay, so larynx has come to the middle, so we'll also see what is larynx and where is the position of it. And at the same time you have developed intelligence. I have told you, right, there is increase in the size of the brain, frontal part of the cortex, frontal brain part, which is known as cortex. Okay, frontal cortex has increased, and because of that, okay, so because of that you have developed language. Here bipedalism in a way led to the development of tools, and here you have various other developments because of bipedalism. Okay, larynx, thyroid, and okay, thyroid bone or hyoid bone you call, because of this, and a gene called FOXP2. Okay, because of this there is a development of language. Okay, now tool plus language has led to the civilization. So this is how biological evolution has led to cultural evolution. Okay, we have seen cultural evolution, biological evolution, the difference between them, and how one is leading to the other. Okay, so when the question is asked with respect to biocultural factors of evolution, you need to write about this. Okay, so now we'll get into the theories, how different people have talked about the evolution. Okay, so first, this is the mechanism. If you want, you can note down. So we'll be understanding in much better manner, because one after the other theory will be refuted by the next coming people, and they'll be giving new developments. Okay, so first kind of theories mostly relied on the theories of divine nature. Okay, so pre-Darwin theories or three. So you can divide theories into so here theories of divine nature. So you need to remember only few things from here. First, Herbert Spencer is the one who has given or coined the term evolution. Okay, so first is theories based on divine nature. Okay, so just you can make a note of them. Plato or Aristotle, these people also talked about it at the very earliest stage. Okay, so divine nature is that it is because of God. Whatever the evolution that has happened, it is because of God. Okay, Aristotle has given the scale model. Scale model means like he has arranged the organisms in the increasing order. Okay, he has said things have moved from simpler forms to complex. Okay, so we have moved from simpler form to complex forms. This is the scale model given by Aristotle. Okay, and at the same time there are various people. So this is the first theories is known as theories of divine nature, okay, or divine origin. And next kind of theories are the creationist. We'll see that, but first see this. Okay, so he has given the ladder of life. Based on that, he has said that the organisms have moved from simpler form to complex form. Okay, so Judeo-Christian cultural ideas of absolute creation. So these people has said that Judeo has said that okay, God has created us at a particular time. They have even given date also, that 4700 or 4400 BC. So it's not of much importance. Okay, so you need to have an idea how they were talking about evolution. So he said, so we are moving from simple to complex. And the other person, Carl Linnaeus, he is the one who has given us the taxonomy. So even today we use this wording that Homo sapiens, Homo Neanderthals. Okay, so we are using the two words, this taxonomical classification which was given by Carl Linnaeus at that point of time. But you need to understand, he said that he has classified the things, but he said that this classification is because of God. Okay, even he was saying that it is because of God. Okay, so but what's very important from him is that Carl Linnaeus has given the taxonomical classification which is even valid today also. Okay, so next is that catastrophic theories. Okay, within the pre-Darwinism one we have seen divine origin. Next is taxonomist and catastrophic theory. So catastrophism, what do they talk about? See, when you see geographical layers, they are arranged in strata, right? So one layer after the other layer are appearing. Okay, so when you see any geographical landform, you see the strata being formed. Okay, one layer above the other. Okay, it visible like different layers are put in an order. Okay, so what they say is that, see, organisms were present, there used to be a disaster, and one kind of organisms are wiped off, and God creates the new organisms, and in that way next one is wiped off. So in this way there is what do you call catastrophe, and the evolution happens after that. This is known as catastrophism. Okay, so the theory of catastrophism by George Cuvier. Okay, so his theory says that there is catastrophe, there is a disaster that will vanish the entire organisms that are there, and it gives rise to new organisms. Okay, how will the new organisms come up? It is because of God's origin. Okay, so next you have gradualism. Okay, so James Hutton's gradualism. So this is, it makes bit sense, you can write. So gradualism given by James Hutton and Charles Lyell. Okay, James Hutton and Charles Lyell, has given gradualism. Okay, so it's unlike the biblical view. Okay, so it's not related to God. It says that since its inception, the earth has undergone numerous geological and climate changes that occurred slowly but continuously over geological time scale. These changes not only change the earth but also the life, and therefore life has evolved gradually along with the evolution of earth. So they are saying that life has evolved gradually along with the evolution of earth. Okay, so there were climatical changes that were happening. So with that geological time scale, there was change in climate. So this climate changes has not only led to the changes of the earth, okay, but at the same time they have changed the life on the earth as well. Okay, so for that reason the evolution has happened in a gradual manner according to this gradualist theory. Okay, so then comes the theory. Okay, so this is generally accepted, and from here the Lamarck gives us theory. Okay, so Lamarckian theory of evolution. From here the important topics for our exam begins. Okay, so these all things are just for our understanding. Okay, so if they ask pre-Darwinian theories, so first you need to write that. So there were the theories of divine origin, okay, given by Aristotle, Plato, Judeo. Okay, Noah's catastrophism. Okay, George Cuvier, Noah's floods. Okay, there were Noah's floods. Based on that he gives this theory of catastrophism. Okay, I told you what is catastrophism, right? Whenever a disaster comes, the organisms or the population entirely vanishes and the new species comes up, and this is done by the God. Okay, who is doing this creation of the new species? It is by the God, and this leads to evolution. Okay, so this is the view, and next you have to write about the theory. So those scientific disciplines, it has begun pre-Darwinian only. Within that, first divine origin, then the theories based on scientific discipline, so given by Hutton and Lyell, and after that the Lamarck. Okay, so coming to Lamarck's theory of organic evolution, we need to understand certain things. Okay, Lamarck's theory. Lamarck full name is Jean Baptiste Lamarck. So Lamarck's full name is Jean Baptiste Lamarck. He has given a theory on organic evolution. Okay, we know that organic evolution is nothing but change that has happened and leading to formation of new species. Okay, how the new species are formed, he has given a theory on it. So first he says that within every being, okay, within every organism there is an internal force. Okay, so along with that internal force, when the new environment comes up, when the environmental changes happen, environmental changes will give rise to new needs. Okay, suppose previously we used to live on trees, so arboreal adaptation was there. So then we were very much dependent upon the smell. Okay, so when we were dependent upon the smell, what happened? Okay, when we were dependent upon the smell, the size of the notes was large. But later on, when the changes came up and when we moved to the terrestrial region, okay, we came onto the ground. Now vision has become more important than the smell. Okay, so vision has become more important than smell. So because of that reason, the size of the notes decreased and your vision increased. Okay, so this is how changes have happened with the change in environmental conditions. Okay, so now you see the same manner, he is saying that you have internal force, and whenever the environment changes, it gives rise to new needs. Okay, your need will change. In that case, when the need changes, in that case you will use certain organs more. Okay, when the new needs or new desires comes, you'll use certain organs more. Okay, certain organs are used more and more, and certain organs are disused. Okay, so you use certain organs more and certain organs are less used. Okay, so those organs which are used, okay, those organs which are used and which are helpful will gives rise to development of better structure. Okay, so those organs which are used, okay, they will give rise to better structure, and the better structure whichever is developed, okay, the better structure whichever is developed will be inherited by the next generation. Okay, so better structure will be inherited. So if you are not using, this is not inherited. Okay, so this will give rise to, when better structure is inherited to the next generation, it will give rise to new species. Okay, it will give rise to so if the organs are used, it leads to better development of structure. And this is inherited. Okay, right, this is the theory of Lamarck. What is he saying in simple manner? You have internal urge, and at the same time environment is changing. Because of that you have new needs. So when you have new needs, you will use certain organs more. Okay, so certain organs are used more, and because of that, what happens, if these organs, usage of certain organs will lead to better development of the structure, and that will be inherited to the next generation, that will gives rise to new species. Okay, so with examples you can understand better. Okay, so this is with respect to Lamarck theory. Just now write down the examples of Lamarck. Okay, write down the examples of Lamarck. Evolution of modern giraffe. Evolution of modern giraffe. So by going through the examples, things will get clear. Okay, giraffe was once a small animal. Giraffe was once a small animal of a size of a dog. Of a size of a dog, feeding on food available on the land. Feeding on the food available on the land. Full stop. As food became scarce on land, as food became scarce on land, it necessitated the animals to reach the branches of the tree. The animal to reach the branches of the tree for the purpose of food. For the purpose of food. It could reach the branches of a tree. It could reach the branches of the tree due to internal urge. Due to internal urge. Full stop. These animals over many generations continued to use its forelimbs and neck. Its forelimbs and neck, which resulted in increase of organs and overall size of the animal. This resulted in the evolution of modern giraffe. Write one more example, I'll explain after this. Evolution of modern snakes. Okay, this is the example for disuse. Previously that was the example for use. Now see the example for disuse. Okay, long back, snakes had limbs. Snakes had limbs. That means legs or hands. Okay, so long back snakes had limbs, and they were walking Okay, they had limbs and they were walking. As environment changed, these animals adapted to burrowing habitats. Okay, so which make holes in the ground and move, right? So that is known as burrowing. Okay, burrowing habitats. Okay, so over many generations, these animals did not use their limbs, and hence resulted in the disappearance of limbs, in the snakes. This leading to the evolution of modern snakes. Evidence. Write down evidence below it. Since python has rudimentary legs, on the ventral side. Okay, so now you see with this example. So he is saying that giraffe was like a dog. Okay, it was like a dog. It used to eat the food that is present on the land. What happened when the environment got changed? Now they need to depend upon the branches of the tree. So now dog is short and it has to reach the branch of a tree, so it extends its head. Okay, so through this, over time, what has happened, because of the internal urge, and to have to reach the branch of the tree, it increased. Okay, it increased its use of neck. Okay, because of that, there is increase in the size of the neck, at the same time size of the front limbs, or front part of the limbs. Okay, so because of that, it gave rise to new species. Now what happened? Over generations, when they used their neck very much, their size increased, and this increased size is inherited, and it gives rise to new species. So new species, how did they come? It is because of urge, change in environment, and use of particular organs. Okay, so organs developed a better structure which is helpful, and that is inherited. This is the Lamarckism theory. Okay, so this is the example of giraffe. So use. So because of use, it gave rise to new species. Now because of disuse also, it gives rise to new species. How? Initially snakes had limbs, that means they had legs, but because of the change in environment, okay, they have adapted to the burrowing. Okay, they have adapted to the burrowing in the ground. So now there is no use, they can crawl. Okay, they stopped using their legs for long generations. Okay, slowly the legs got disappeared, and that has been inherited. Okay, so how are we saying it? Not we are saying, but Lamarck is saying that. How did he say? He says that, see, if you see python, there are legs on the ventral side. Okay, there are legs on the ventral side, or limbs on the ventral side. Okay, but other snakes do not have. Okay, so for that reason he says that disuse of organs are inherited. Okay, so use and disuse because of the environmental changes and desire. Okay, so this is Lamarck theory. So that's why what is happening here, you are acquiring the new characters, and these characters are getting inherited. Okay, so that's why theory of inheritance of acquired characters, it is called as theory of inheritance of acquired characters, right? I think you are clear with the Lamarck's theory. Now we'll see the criticism of Lamarck. If you see, August Weismann has conducted an experiment. What he has done, he has taken rats. Okay, so he has cut its tail. Okay, he has taken rat, cut its tail, and he did this observation for almost 22 generations. After that, what he has observed, even after the number of generations has been cut the tail, the new generation is being born with the tail. That means whatever the character that has been acquired by the rat is not inherited, right? So this is the example against the Lamarck. Okay, so this is with respect to example against the Lamarck. And you see one more thing, he has given the theory of continuity of germplasm. So he says that only changes that come in germplasm will be inherited and not the somatoplasm. Okay, so he has given the description of somatoplasm and germplasm. And somatoplasm, we have seen already somatocytes, right? So when fusion happens, only germ cells meet, not the somatocells. Okay, that is with respect to August Weismann experiment. Again, other examples also you can quote. Even after piercing the nose and ears and many other parts of the body, the new generation that comes up in human beings doesn't have that pierced holes, right? So again, this says that use or disuse or the acquired characters are not being inherited. And again, so one more example is that Chinese woman. So in China, there is a belief that, okay, there is a belief that woman who has got the sharp feet is believed to have a better husband, and the prosperous life. So because of this, what happens, Chinese women do something known as foot binding. Foot binding means they wear iron shoes in order to make their foot sharp, okay, to bring it to shape. Okay, in that case, the new need, okay, there is a new need, and this need has given rise to new kind of development of the structure. But in the next generation, they are not born with the acquired character. Okay, so who are the women that are being born in the next generation, they have normal feet. So this is also example against the Lamarck. Okay, so again, female circumcision that happens generally in the West Asia. Okay, in the West Asia and Africa region, the female circumcision with respect to genitals. Okay, even then also in the next generation, the babies are born normal. Okay, so these are the examples against the Lamarck theory. So here, whatever the characters that were acquired during the part of the life are not inherited. Okay, so this is with respect to Lamarck's criticism, and you can write the criticism that, so internal force, many scholars have disagreed with the internal force. At the same time, environmental effect, though it is present, it is questionable regarding the creation of new needs. Okay, so environmental impact will definitely be there, but it doesn't mean it always gives rise to new needs. Okay, and next thing, use and disuse theory is only partially correct. So you can write an example from recent thing that is in news. African elephants are being born without husk. Okay, that tusk that will be there, okay, the dental part of the elephant, right? So elephant husk being, what you call, smuggled over the areas. Because of that reason, now elephants are being born without it. So that means because of disuse, okay, it doesn't have any use with it, and in order to adapt to the environment, because they are killing and taking away the horns. Okay, so not the horns, the tusks of a elephant. So in order to save that, so elephants are getting adopted, and now they are being born without tusks. Okay, so this is the recent example that has been in news, which you can connect. So where Lamarck can be remembered in today's life. Okay, so, and next, inheritance of acquired characters has been completely disagreed by most of the scholars. Okay, this is with respect to criticism of Lamarck's. Okay, I think you are clear now. Let me go back to the slide. Okay, you can go through this, or you can make note of whatever the handwritten slides that I have shown. So there are other examples also. You can see aquatic birds. So when the birds used to come for the food in the aquatic regions, so they have to swim, they have to stretch their fingers. Okay, so they have to stretch their fingers of the limbs. Because of that, what happened? Okay, so there is stretching of the fingers have got huge gap, and in some birds what has happened, they have got, in ducks they have got webbed foot. Okay, webbed foot in the sense that there is expansion, and because of that there was web shaped foot that has been formed among the ducks. Okay, so there are other examples also. If you want, you can note them down. We have already discussed two examples, one for use and other for disuse. That would be sufficient, but if you want more, you can make note of it. Okay, these are the postulates. Criticism. So I've already told you August Weismann's experiment, and these are theories against. Okay, so there is something known as neo-Lamarckism. Okay, what is neo-Lamarckism? Certain scientists have come forward, certain scholars have come forward, and they have come in support of Lamarck's theory. Okay, they have conducted certain experiments and they said what Lamarck has done is right and it is true. Okay, so let me show you. There are few experiments. Okay, so neo-Lamarckism is nothing but Lamarck theory is supported. Okay, in support. So asexual reproduction, where they say that propagation of roots happens. Okay, so be it in onions or any other plant. Okay, what happens, there is asexual reproduction that is happening. Okay, even acquired characters will be transmitted. Here there is no involvement of sex. Okay, sex related gametes, even without the involvement of sex related thing. Okay, just by environment also the characters are transferred from generation to generation. Okay, if you see one more thing here, Harrison's experiment on moth. Okay, there is an insect, this is feeding on less rich manganese food. Because of that, it has got pale colored. Okay, so pale colored, which is identifiable. Okay, pale light colored moth when it is eating less rich manganese food. And what has happened with industrialization, it has started eating more rich manganese food. Okay, then in that case it gives rise to dark colored moths. Dark colored moth or dark colored insects. So now again he's trying to prove that, see, this is the influence of environment. Okay, this is the influence of environment and no involvement of germplasm over here. Because just because it is consuming the food based on the environment, that is why these characters are developed and inherited in the next generation and new species have been formed. Okay, change, and that led to formation of new species which is of different color. Okay, so this is the experiment in favor of Lamarck. And the other experiment is that Tower's potato beetle. Okay, it's an insect. It's an insect. When it is exposed to low temperature and humidity, nothing has happened. Okay, now what he has done, he has exposed this insect to low temperature and humidity. Nothing has happened, and it was the same as it is before. But what happened in the next generation, the insects that have been born, okay, so the insects that in the next generation, these insects which are exposed, okay, now this is the insect one which is exposed to the low temperature and humidity. Now it is mated with others. Okay, there is other insect, and now it gave rise to insect 3. Okay, so this insect 3, whichever it is there, it has born with adaptation to this low temperature and humidity. It is more resistant and more tolerant to this low temperature and humidity. What does it mean by this? Why did he do this experiment? Okay, so it makes sense because now temperature and humidity is part of environment. By change in environment, there is change in the characters and that have been acquired in the next generation. That is what Lamarck was saying, right? So if you see, there is change in environment. Now this change has led to the resistance to low humidity and temperature. Now these are mated and now it gives rise to the new insect which is having the tolerance to this. So the characters that are acquired as a part of environment is being inherited in the next generation, which is in support of Lamarck. So that's why we call these theories as neo-Lamarckism. Okay, so there are other things also. If you want more examples and more case studies, that I'll be providing you, but all you need to understand is what is neo-Lamarckism. It is nothing but scholars coming forward in support of Lamarckism, okay, and showing their experiments in order to talk about how Lamarckism is favorable, and it is what do you call, it is the theory which is present in true sense. Okay, so this is neo-Lamarckism. Next, before moving to Cope's law, we will be studying about the Darwinism. Okay, so what is Darwinism and what is Darwin's theory of natural selection? So coming to Darwin, Darwin was on a voyage to HMS Beagle because he has got permission for conducting experiments from the colonialists that were ruling at that point of time. So he went on a voyage. He passed through Galapagos Islands. Okay, so there were so many islands there. He observed that in different places the birds, the finches that were present, were having different kinds of beaks. Okay, so he has observed that, see, what could be the reason behind it, and from there he has given the theory of natural selections in the book. This is the book Origin of Species. In this book he has given the theory of natural selection. Okay, so this is theory of natural selection. Okay, so whose influence was present on him at that point of time? His contemporaries were Malthus. Okay, Malthus' theory on demography, where he says that food production happens in arithmetic progression. So if food production is going like this, population production happens in geometric progression. Okay, so that is Malthus' theory. So this theory influenced Darwin. At the same time, he has seen the finches, okay, in the Galapagos Island, and he has observed the variations that were present among the finches. And at the same time, one more person, Alfred Wallace, okay, so he is Dutch botanist, Alfred Wallace. Okay, so he was studying Malayan archipelago and he has observed the same findings over there. So in Malaya, okay, he has observed the same findings which Darwin has found out. So these influences had led him to give a theory regarding the natural selection. So what is this theory about? So if you remember this much of content, that would be more than enough. Okay, you have too much of content in the books and it becomes difficult for you to recall. So you need to remember certain keywords and explain in your own words, but these keywords should not be missed. Okay, so where did he go on a voyage, and in which book did he give, and what is his theory, who has influenced him, and what are its postulates. Okay, first he says that there is overproduction in the sense there is a need for reproduction of more number of children in order to survive, right? In order to survive, what happens? There is a competition, okay, between the species and between different people for the food. Okay, so they keep on producing in order to strengthen your group, in order to protect your group. What happens? There will be overproduction. Okay, overproduction here is about the reproduction part. So creation of more number of children. So reproducing in large number. Okay, at the same time you have limited resources. At the same time, you have limited resources. This we are all aware about. And when you have limited resources and you have got more number of people, okay, so now different groups will fight for it. Okay, that is known as struggle for existence. So suppose the environment got changed and now we all dependent on the same species, or same area. Okay, previously one has to do pastoralism and some people are doing other activities such as hunting, gathering. Now everybody has come to agriculture, and when everybody has come to agriculture, there is limited land, and who is going to take it and how they are going to take it. Now there is struggle for existence between these people. So just an example for you to understand. So since there is struggle for existence, okay, so there will be variation, there will be appearance of variation, so some change will come. So when this change happens, if this change is useful, then it is inherited to the next generation and it gives rise to new species. Okay, so this useful variation or useful variation is known as mutation. This mutation, okay, is inherited by the action of natural selection. So if it is unuseful, natural selection will act and it will eliminate that unuseful trait. Okay, unuseful variation or trait is eliminated by the natural selection. So whichever is useful, natural selection will act and it will inherit to the next generation and it will give rise to new species. So this is the theory of Darwin regarding the theory of natural selection. So when there is struggle, okay, it gives rise to new variation, appearance of new variations, and if it is useful and if it is inherited, then so if it is useful, natural selection will act and it will inherit, and if it is not useful, natural selection will act and it will eliminate. So this is the theory of natural selection by Darwin. Okay, these are the different postulates. And now see some examples. Okay, and first we'll see what is the weakness of the theory. What is the weakness of his theory? It doesn't explain the transmission of characters. Okay, so before that we will see certain examples of Darwin. So this is the voyage of HMS Beagle. What happens? Variations and origin of species by natural selection. So that is what we have read. And next, so overproduction, struggle for existence. So struggle for existence is of three types: interspecific species. Okay, so first it happens between different species. Okay, so it happens between different species altogether, and next it happens within the species. Okay, so there might be struggle for existence with other animals as well. Okay, so the species, it may be completely belong to the new order itself, so they may not belong to human order or any mammalian order. So species can be of any type, right? So we have seen plants, animals are combating. Now they are of different order. Okay, so now plants and animals are having struggle for certain things. Okay, so it can be a struggle between different kingdoms itself, or it can be different species and within the species also. Okay, so just make a note of these things. Write down. Intraspecific struggle within the same species. Example, cannibalism. Example, cannibalism. Second, interspecific struggle. Interspecific struggle, struggle between two different species. Struggle between two different species. Okay, so struggle between two different species, predators and prey. Predators and prey. Okay, so moving to the next, intraspecific and interspecific. So after that, types of variations by Darwin. So what kind of variations did he say? So individual variation is due to recombination. Okay, so if you have observed that in the past lecture we have studied about recombination. That means when the before meiosis, what happens? Crossing over happens and the exchange of genes happen. So individual variation, because gametes are non-identical to its parents, so that's why there is individual variation, right? So sport or sudden variation is called as mutation. So variation due to use and disuse, and hybrid variation. So because of use and disuse also variation will happen, and because of hybridization also variation will happen. Okay, these are the types of variation discussed by Darwin. Okay, and he has told that survival of the fittest. Okay, how do you decide who are fit? Okay, how do you decide who are fit? I have told you, like, when the struggle for existence happens, there will be arrival of variations, and if it is useful, that means if it is fit, okay, that is called survival of the fittest. So how fitness is decided? Your capacity to adapt to the environment, at the same time your capacity of predation, your capacity to reproduce. Based on these capacities, it is decided whether it's useful and whether it is fit. Okay, so based on that, natural selection will act. If it is fit, it will inherit to the next generation. Okay, this is the survival of the fittest. Okay. Origin of species by natural selection. Okay, so nature selects only those individuals that are favorable, that are having favorable variations. So next, conclusion we have seen already. So this is coming to the drawbacks and criticism. If you want, you can make a note of them. And next, moving to Darwin's theory of artificial selection. So as per Darwin, the commonest method of producing a new race of individuals is that of selection under human control. Okay, so now if you are making a selection whom to mate with, so whom to mate with and how, so then you are making a choice under human control, right? So if it is random mating is happening, that means no force is acting upon. Okay, but in absence of that, you are making a human choice, so you are choosing only the best one. So now what is happening? Nature is not selecting, human being is selecting it. So in this case, this is called as artificial selection, right? You are choosing yourself whom to mate with, and because of that, there is elimination of nature's call, right? So there is no call for the nature to make a decision. Okay, so natural selection is completely taken away, and human being is taking control of it. That's why it is called as artificial selection. Okay, so it can be both at subconscious level or conscious level. Sometimes you wantedly make choice to create a new race, and sometimes you randomly at the subconscious level also you'll make a choice. And next, Darwin's theory of sexual selection. Okay, according to this theory, there is always a contest among the males for possession of females. Okay, so for example, stag with beautiful horns fighting among male agitators for possession of females. In this way, inferior males are debarred to contribute to the gene pool. Okay, this is called as theory of sexual selection. Now what is happening? Whoever is strong, that male person will be chosen by the female, and whoever is inferior, it is eliminated. In a way, it is leading to sexual selection that is happening. Okay, and he has given a theory of pangenesis. Theory of pangenesis. Okay, all somatic cells. Now what he is saying, how the variations are transmitted from one generation to another generation. He says that somatic cells are there, it will produce a miniatures. Miniatures means, so if there is a cell, all the properties of a somatic cell will go in terms of miniatures, small parts, into the blood, and this will go to the germ cells. Okay, and they get included, and after that, when a birth happens, this inheritance of all these traits happen. I'm sorry. So all somatic cells produce miniatures called pangenesis. Okay, this will go to the germ cells, and through that it is transferred to the next generation. But when certain hormones are injected, okay, certain hormones are injected into a new organism, okay, into a new organism, and it has been tested in the next generation, those things are not inherited. That means this has been proved wrong. Okay, so what are the applications of Darwin? You can make a note of them. There are different applications, and because of this, what has happened, you are trying to prove one group of people. If you're trying to make one group of people more specific and other group as less, what do you call, less powerful, and through that you are trying to overshadow the other group by showing that you are superior. Okay, so by selecting certain traits and by using this theory, you are trying to, social Darwinism, you are trying to show your superiority, and that is visible in terms of imperialism, capitalism, and political conservatism. Okay, so by saying that whoever is better, they will become powerful. Okay, so what are they trying to say? Whoever is better, they'll become powerful, and others are not. Now if you accept this, because of that, what happens? The same group will be leading and it will be controlling you. So that is the reason the capitalism, imperialism, and all other has been flourishing. Okay, so these are the applications. And the next theory that we are going to read after this is that synthetic theory. So one thing you need to know, that is known as neo-Darwinism. And there is something known as post-Darwinism. Neo-Darwinism, if a question is on Neo-Darwinism, what you have to write is the scholars that have come, those who have come forward in support of Darwin's theory of natural selection. Okay, there are certain scholars who have come in favor of Darwin's theory. They have conducted certain experiments, and through that they have given certain views. Okay, so some people have agreed to the theory of natural selection, but differing a little bit by the differing a little bit from the Darwin's theory of natural selection. Okay, so those who have come in support and their experiments has to be mentioned. You have to discuss them, and there also you have positives and negatives. Okay, though it's not mentioned in the syllabus specifically. Okay, so they have given synthetic theory directly. Okay, that is not given in the syllabus separately, but there is a chance of question being appearance. Okay, so appearance of a question from this area. So in that case, you need to be ready to answer this question as well. So for this, I'll be providing you the notes of the experiments that are done. Okay, just go through that notes because only experiments are there. All you need to do is study those experiments, and if a question comes, try to make use of it. So post-Darwinism is something, okay, so which deviates and identifies the criticism of Darwinism, okay, and it tries to fulfill the gaps that have been left, okay, the gaps left by the Darwin's theory of natural selection is tried to filled by the post-Darwinists, okay, so known as synthetic theory of evolution. Okay, this is with respect to post-Darwinism. Okay, now synthetic theory we'll be doing in the next class. So before that we'll see Cope's law and Dawes. Cope's law. So what does Cope's law talk about? There are certain terms and concepts which are given as a part of the syllabus in human evolution and emergence of man. So these are also part of evolution itself, okay, so these terms are related to evolution. So here Cope says that there is a tendency of increase in size during evolution. Okay, so for example, if you see ancestors of horse were of dog size, and during the course of evolution they increased in size. So dinosaurs earlier were small, okay, so earlier forms were smaller and later on larger forms have come up. So from this he tried to say that there is always increase in size with evolution. So this is the Cope's law. So you should remember that Cope's law of increase in size. So whenever you remember this way, so you don't confuse, okay, you don't get confused between the various terms that you are going to learn. Okay, now you have only one word, so you think that you can remember by understanding it, but from the topic itself, if you remember Cope's law of increase in size, okay, so then you can easily, whenever they give Cope's law, that means it is regarding increase in size. So he says that every time the evolution happens there will be increase in size. Okay, so throughout the evolution when you observe there is always increase in size is observed. He has given example, one is horse, other is dinosaurs. Okay, but is it always true? No. Okay, there are examples against the flying bats across the evolutionary line seem to have reduced in size. Okay, so bat has got reduced in size because since it has to fly there has been limited size for it to grow. Okay, so for that reason there has been observed that this during its evolutionary line it has reduced in size. Okay, even if you see in human evolution, just we have discussed that because of the soft food like invention of fire, okay, so there is decrease in jaw size, at the same time decrease in the teeth. So it's not always progressive as discussed by the Cope. Okay, so even in Australopithecus the gracile form gave rise to robust form, but the failure of the robust to survive and reproduce fails to explain the rule. So now what happened, you have we'll be studying in the 1.6 that in Australopithecus you have two forms. One is gracile, that means which is smaller in size and smooth, okay, and next is robust form which is heavy built, okay, which is heavy built. And the evolution happened this way, it moved from gracile to robust, but what happened, robust got extinct. Okay, gracile moved and it evolution happened further from the gracile, but robust even after increase in size it didn't lead to increase in size further. Okay, evolution should go this way, but it is happening from the smaller version. So again this rule of Cope's law is violated and Cope's law can't explain this. Okay, so these are the example against the Cope's law. Okay, so Cope's law you have understood, right? It is nothing but increase in size, okay, throughout the evolution, but it is not always true. There are many examples which are violating the Cope's law. Next, Dolor's. So Dolor's rule is nothing but it says that evolution is irreversible and irrevocable. Okay, useful structures in evolution cannot be reverted back. So what is he saying? Now man who has got his brain, okay, brain size increased, so further in future generation this size of the brain cannot be reduced, this size can't decrease according to Dollo's rule. Okay, so but you can observe that if certain animals, okay, so if certain animals, now size of the brain, or suppose man has lost its tail, okay, man has lost its tail from the primate level, okay, so from the from the new world monkeys, okay, when you observe the diversion from the new world monkeys, man had tail in terms of primates in his ancestors, so man's ancestors had tail, okay, but in the next generation tail has disappeared. Now there would be no chance in man's line, okay, there would be no chance in man's line to develop the tail, but another species can develop the tail, so he is not denying it. Another species which has got necessary, which has got a necessity, it can develop the tail, but man cannot develop it. So according to him it is irreversible and irrevocable, but in a one species, okay, so he is talking about a single species, not across species, okay, so the features that are there, that are lost or that are being developed, you can't go back and get those features, okay, so there are certain features that prognathism was present, but now if man can't have prognathism because at that point of time there were large jaws, at the same time you have long nose as well, so flat nose was there and now it is different, okay, so this theory talks about irreversibility and irrevocability of the features that are developed across evolution, okay, so in the process of evolution the features can't be reversed and can't be reverted. So this is with respect to Dollos and Cope's rule. So in the next lecture we'll be seeing the different terms explaining the evolution. At the same time we'll also be studying the synthetic theory of evolution. With that we'll be done with 1.4. okay, I think you are clear with the theories that we have read. So pre-Darwinian theories are not very much important other than Lamarckism. All you need to know is that in the pre-Darwinian, so some people were telling that evolution has happened because of God, and some people have said that it is because of catastrophe or disaster, and some people have said it is because of gradualism, and gradualism is something which has been believed and accepted, and from there Lamarck has taken up, there he has given his theory, and after that then moved to Darwin. After Darwin you have post-Darwinian theory, that is synthetic theory, which we will be discussing, and along with that there are certain terms and concepts related to evolution. With that we will be done with 1.4. okay, that's all. Thank you very much.